You are one of the many millions and millions of people who are holding your smartphone right now. And wouldn't you like to allow your wrist to work better, feel better? That's what I'm going to share with you today. And you may be saying, wow, my wrist feels okay. I can move it, I can bend it, but hold on a second. You may not realize that your wrist is not working 100% the way it should be. Many of us work on 90%, 70%, 50%. And then when it gets to a certain point, we start having inflammation, tingling, numbness, cramping, pain, burning, carpal tunnel syndrome. A lot of things go on in the wrist. But in the wrist, there are 2 rows of 4 bones, 8 bones on our wrist. And right above the radius, right here, we have the scaphoid, the lunate, the triquetrum, and the pisiform. This little bone right here is the pisiform. And right just above it, we have the trapezium, trapezoid, the capitate, and the hamate. But let's get right to it. And what I'd like you to do, you can follow me along, is that right here, as we come right above the radius here, you have a long bone right here, and right above it, there's a groove. And in this groove right here, these bones, this scaphoid and this lunate, like to go backwards. It likes to jam backwards. Why? Because we spend so much time with our hands in this position, holding our smartphones. You see, we don't hold our smartphones like this, okay? We hold our smartphones like this. So we are putting our wrists into an extension position, jamming these 2 bones. Aha, this is the fun part. Take your thumb or the other hand and just put it right above this bone here called the radius, the long bone in the forearm, and just put it right back in that area. You'll know you're in there, just right here. And here's what I want you to do. A few little impulses that you're covering the scaphoid and the lunate. And when you do these little impulses, you're probably going to hear a click or an audible. It's going to release some gases because we're going to unjam what's jammed. Let's do it right now. Watch what I do. Impulse. There it goes. Little impulse just like this. Okay? That's it. You hear that little click there? I heard it. That was my wrist. And then after you do that, you're going to say, wow, I can move my hand much easier. It feels lighter. We get more blood supply, more nerve innervation. So here's what I want you to do after. I want you to go right above, you'll see a crease here. Okay, I'll go this way. Here's a crease right here. And now I want you to come above the other row, which is up here. And I want you just to take your hand, flex it, because there's 2 rows here, right where the crease is and right above the crease. And now this area, we're going to flex it, little impulse, there it goes. I just heard a little impulse. Because what happens is the bones right above the wrist on the back side, when they jam backwards. So what we're doing here is we're taking it and moving it forwards. And the row above it, they jam forwards. So we contact here and we flex it, we are putting an impulse to bring it backwards. And just by shifting those 2 areas in our wrist, you're going to see a tremendous change. Because what you may notice is that as you bend your wrist, you may not be moving it the way it should be. And if those bones stay out of place for a long period of time, then we start developing osteoarthritis, degeneration of the joint. We start developing irritation on those ligaments, on the tendons, and eventually on the nerves, and we have pain and dysfunction. And once these joints become locked and they're not moving, in the joints, like all joints of our body, we have synovial fluid. It's that fluid that allows everything to move and glide. Just like oil in an engine. Everything's got to glide nice and easy. But when the joints are not gliding, that's when we start developing degeneration, deterioration, arthritis. That's what we don't want. So, real simple, quick review. Right above the radius, put your thumb in there, little impulse right there, just a few of them. And then you'll come around the row right above, get your fingers, your thumb in there, flex it all the way flex, little impulse like this, just going the opposite way. And yes, you're gonna feel, you're probably gonna hear those bones crack, but they're not cracking. That's just gases being released as we mobilize and allow the freedom of that joint to go back in place and the joint to move nice and easy. So your body, meaning your wrist, and the function of those joints can work normal once again. Use this technique as often as necessary. You will be amazed. You will feel miracles. Because if you have these issues, which is quite common, you're going to feel such a difference. Do it in both wrists. Do it whenever you need to. Share this with your friends and family. And most important, make it a great day. I'm Dr. Alan Mendell.